Early voting starts today, and mail-in ballots are on their way to registered voters. The new tool that lets you track your ballot from when you drop it in the mail to when it's officially counted. Plus, the new research painting a concerning picture about how COVID-19 is spread and the latest guidance from the CDC. After walking off the pitch when a player on the other team used a homophobic slur, why the San Diego Loyal are now coming to that other team's defense.
ABC 10 News at 6 starts now.
But first, unprecedented moments today after Marine One airlifted President Trump back to the White House. After climbing the stairs, the president turned back to the cameras, took off his mask, waved, gave a thumbs up, and saluted Marine One. He spent 4 days being treated for COVID-19 at Walter Reed Medical Center, released just hours ago to continue treatment at the White House. Here's part of a video he recorded shortly after arriving.
I just left Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's really something very special. The doctors, the nurses, the first responders, and I learned so much about coronavirus.
The president has received at least 8 different medicines and supplements since he tested positive for COVID-19. Several are new and approved under emergency or compassionate use orders. And despite still being infected with coronavirus, the president says he wants to get back on the campaign trail in a couple of weeks. He says he plans to attend next week's debate against Joe Biden. Early voting begins today, and every registered voter in California will get a mail-in ballot. Some of you may have received it today, but with recent concerns surrounding the Postal Service missing delivery targets, ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is going in-depth on the new way to track your ballot from the moment you drop it in the mail to make sure it's counted.
Right now, the U.S. Postal Service is processing an unprecedented number of mail-in ballots. Because of the pandemic, election officials are sending mail ballots to every active registered voter in California for the first time in state history, says Secretary of State Alex Padilla.
Vote by mail has been popular in California for many, many years. But with a further increase in vote by mail participation, the transparency and accountability of those mail-in ballots is even more paramount.
That's why the secretary rolled out a new tool statewide for this election called Where's My Ballot? The system can send texts or emails alerting you when a ballot has been mailed to you, when the election office has received it, when the ballot has been counted, and more.
We know which voters haven't returned their ballot yet, so we can carve out just that subset of voters and send them a message that says, you need to act on your ballot. You have 10 days to do so.
Steve Olson is the president of Ballot Tracks, the company that created the software. It works by tracking the barcodes on ballots and envelopes. When employees scan the barcode, the company collects the data. Where's My Ballot can even send you an alert if your ballot has been rejected for, say, a missing signature, something the voter can go back and correct.
We can tell the voter your ballot has been rejected, within minutes of receiving that data.
Ballot Tracks originally developed the technology back in 2009 for election officials in Denver. They're now in 400 counties in 14 states.
Hopefully our system adds a level of comfort and peace of mind and confidence and trust that their vote's actually going to count.
But it's not just a tool for voters. The tracking system gives election officials a way to keep tabs on the Postal Service, which the state recently sued successfully over claims the Trump administration was slowing down the mail.
It provides us a sort of a real-time look at ballot traffic through the mail. And if we identify any bottlenecks or delays, then we can work with regional and local Postal Service representatives to address those and ensure the timely delivery of ballots both to the voter and back to the county.
Secretary Padilla says more than 1 million California voters have signed up for Where's My Ballot so far, but there are more than 21 million registered voters in the state who could use the service. You can sign up on the Secretary of State's website. We've put a link to that on 10news.com. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.
Here are the important dates for voters over the next month. The deadline to register to vote is October 19th. Remember, your registration must be postmarked by that date. After that time, you can still vote conditionally. In-person voting begins October 31st at any one of the county's 235 polling places. Election Day is November 3rd. 10news.com is your source for complete election coverage. Just click on Election 2020 at the top of the homepage to find stories on the issues and the candidates so that you can make the most informed decision this election. And a quick reminder, the vice presidential debate between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris is this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Today it was announced the candidates would be separated by a wall of plexiglass, and you can watch it right here on ABC 10. Stick around after the debate on Wednesday for a special edition of ABC 10 News at 8 o'clock. Today, scientists say that chances of catching the coronavirus from air particles is far more prevalent than originally thought. They're pointing to super spreader events at the White House as a prime example. ABC 10 News anchor Vanessa Van Hefty explains this change in course by the CDC.
A team of some of the country's leading scientists published this letter in the Journal of Science today. The goal, to make it clear COVID travels in the air and people are becoming infected via inhalation.
One of the standards right now is that with the 6 foot distance, which important part about it is it does not work. Aerosols will go beyond 6 feet. I think everyone's in agreement with that, and they can build up in a room.
Dr. Kimberly Prather is a professor of atmospheric chemistry at UC San Diego's Scripps Institution of Oceanography. She argues the virus is being spread largely by asymptomatic people in the air we breathe.
Ventilation really is just so important. And sometimes in some places, that's just a matter of, opening the door and opening the windows. We'll clean this right out.
The researchers who come from UC San Diego, the University of Maryland, Virginia Tech, and others argue infected people release thousands of virus-laden aerosols, and the focus should be shifted to protecting against airborne transmission. In addition to existing mandates of mask-wearing, social distancing, and hygiene efforts, they urge public health officials to add clear guidance about the importance of moving activities outdoors, improving indoor air using ventilation and filtration, and improving protection for high-risk workers.
This is a great example of a singular event in front of the entire world that was recorded from beginning to end, and in which the tools are present to dissect in great detail what actually happened.
Saying, as we've seen in the last week at the White House, wearing a mask is critical. Vanessa Van Hefty, ABC 10 News.
The researchers also say not all masks are created equal. They say it's best to use 2 layers of material and make sure that it conforms tightly around your nose and face. The team says viruses in the aerosols can remain suspended in the air for hours. They can travel more than 2 meters when ventilation is poor, causing super spreading events. And while California's COVID numbers are comparatively better than many other states, Governor Gavin Newsom today pointed to a sharp rise in cases across the country and around the world as evidence that we may be entering the pandemic's second wave.
The prospect of a second wave potentially being as impactful or more impactful. It certainly was the case, the Spanish flu, 1918 into the fall. And that's why we have to be very vigilant, and that's why we have to be very sober about what is going on. And I'll remind you, and you can see this here on the slide, that it takes about 20 to 30 days to see upticks in hospitalizations and in the ICUs.
Governor Newsom also said the state is again seeing an increase in the number of tests given after a slight disruption from the wildfires. Meantime, the county's rolling average for positive cases continued its near month-long trend of moving down today. Right now, just 3% of all of the tests given over the past 2 weeks have come back positive. Today, the county reported 224 new cases, bringing our total to 48,660. And as on previous Mondays, the county did not report new deaths. That total remains at 803. For weeks, doctors have been urging people to get the flu shot this year to avoid overwhelming hospitals during the pandemic. And one local group believes that the message was received and is now preparing for a high turnout of people looking to get vaccinated. Our partners at KPBS report Champions for Health is holding more than 30 free flu shot clinics this year and bought a new portable cooler to hold up to 400 shots per event.
Versus, the usual 100 or 200 that we would take to any given event. So we're ready.
Champions for Health says that it administered nearly 500 flu shots during its first event yesterday.